And coming up next, we have Jesse Fruhwirth. He's a writer at the City Weekly. He's utterly fabulous, and he should have already taken the mic by now if he followed the instructions I gave him. Take it. He's going to tell us how he eats.
That's true. All right, so so I'm here. Why I'm a wild game vegan and how it's working out. This landscape is taken of the area very near Bismarck, North Dakota, where I grew up, just to the east of it, and it's pretty tragic and not very wild at all. And that's partially what's happened here. So you can see North Dakota, 90% of our land area is being used for either agriculture or livestock. In Utah, it's only 21%. So that's sort of, I grew up in what kind of looks like a prison. You can see these lines over here. And I moved to this area of freedom. And so moving to Utah kind of gave me this idea. I came to agree with people like Edward Abbey that wilderness is actually very necessary for the human spirit. And wilderness kind of entails cruelty, so the typical route to veganism is trying to eliminate cruelty, but that's not going to work. So I kind of just came up with this Ecoveganoid thing. But it's similar. I mean, you still avoid most animal products, but it's based on trying to live with ecosystems very well. And it's really bourgeois, right? Only privileged people can really make these kind of decisions. I recognize that. But the goals are to try to restore huge pieces of wilderness across our continent. And to live in harmony with these ecosystems as opposed to trying to make them look like this, terrible landscape that you see here. And we also need food. Now, you've probably heard this. Okay, so something about the size of Nevada is used in this continent to grow corn, and 80% of that corn is just eaten by livestock that you later eat. So the impact of that, if you choose to not eat dairy and meat, is you've seen these sorts of numbers. Anywhere from 2.25 pounds of corn go into every pound of meat, sometimes as much as 20 pounds of corn, depending on how you count it. And so, nevertheless, bottom line is less meat equals less corn equals more open land. Now, where should that open land be? The Great Plains. It's semi-arid. It's not great for farming. In fact, there may be a total disaster coming soon because the Oglala Aquifer is really running out of water. Bison should be the keynote species here, although most of our wheat comes from this area, so we need to do something. Along comes these people, the poppers. They come from Harvard, and they tell people in North Dakota, we need to return your state to a pre-white state. You can imagine how that went over, not very well. But they were like, look, it's a warning. We're telling you, when you fail, we'll help you out. We're not making you get off. So their idea is the Buffalo Commons, which is restoring this Great Plains to a huge sort of, wild preserve for bison and prairie dogs, etc. Recently, the Kansas City Star came out in favor of this, saying, look, we're screwed. The Oglala Aquifer is almost done. Where we're at right now, though, is we have about 500,000 bison that are in captivity. That's no good. We only have about 15,000 that are actually wild. So wild-wise, they're nearly endangered. Now, why would you want to eat wild game? Well, there's no hormones or antibiotics in it. It's lower in fat. The animals live much better quality lives. And if you have a 95% vegan diet and maybe have 3 servings of meat a week, you get a lot of those nutrients that might be difficult to get if you were purely vegan. Now, it's not going to be easy to just let millions of bison roam across the Great Plains, right? Because people are still going to live there. This is actually an overpass built for wildlife, so they won't hit you on the highway, and you won't hit them on the highway. And we need a lot more of that. So if you agree with me that this terrible thing behind us should be more wild, a good thing maybe to do is to reject all animal products in your food. Try to buy local. If you're going to eat meat, maybe you should grow it yourself or hunt it yourself. And like Robert Kennedy says, you have to get involved in politics. It's way more important than consumer choices. Now, what about backyard and free range and all that? Well, the government labels are pretty much meaningless. Anyone can be free range. And did you read Judy Fay's story in the Tribune about how your backyard chickens have arsenic in them? Because the food labels on the chicken food isn't even reliable, so watch out. The battle lines here are, of course, over the top predators. We have a hard time keeping the wolves alive now that they're no longer endangered. And really, none of this whole happy ecosystem thing is going to work without the predators. So this is really the front lines. In the meantime, we have a major overpopulation problem of deer because those predators are gone. So I recommend you eat Bambi, at least for now, while we have this terrible problem. We're running into them constantly. They're dying. I mean, they're going to get killed. So how it's working out for me, I basically just cut out fast food and dairy and I became vegan because I wasn't really doing anything other than that. It does turn out that if you buy wild game, it's kind of against the law, so that's been a little bit difficult. So I've basically just been living vegan. Now, some people would say, gosh, if everybody did this, Jesse, isn't there going to be a terrible poaching problem? And gosh, our population is going to be so big soon. How are we going to eat? Well, you have to be reactive. You have to keep, modifying your behavior depending on your environment. But I guess bottom line, what I'm saying is, be conscious about your life. Think about what you're purchasing, and be proud of your decisions. And that includes your diet. Thank you.